Hello and welcome to what's new in Microsoft 365 and Copilot for June 2025. If you want to get updates throughout the month, go and follow me on one of these socials and use @SuperSimple365 and you'll be able to follow along. I normally put those details out at 7:30 in the morning UK time, just one at a time, so it's nice and easy to follow. We've got updates for Copilot, OneDrive, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, and some from around 365. Now, I know you hear this every month. I only talk about the highlights in this session. Go and check out the blog, have a look at the video notes, go and have a look at the link, and you can read the blog. And there's so many more things that I cover on there. Updates for previous months, updates, little nuggets as well. Go and have a read, definitely worth checking out. But first, I want some money from you, if you don't mind. How about you join the Update Insiders membership? This will go towards paying for the server and the web hosting and the time that I spend on these updates. But what do you get as a member? So you get early access to what's new in Microsoft 365 and Copilot, the roundup. Instead of waiting until the end of the month, you can go all the way through the month. You can check in and just see what's happening as it happens. Every single full update I do, like the main slides that I show here, the actual content behind them, those stories, I send that to your inbox as I do them, so you don't have to wait each day. So you'll be super up to date and you'll know as much as anyone else who you work with. And also you can post your comments on the site if you want to. It might be that you don't want any of that stuff and actually you just appreciate the work that I do, and it'd be great if you could show your support with £5 towards the costs. But if that's not for you, that's fine as well. If you join and you realise that actually it doesn't give you value, you should cancel. Cancel anytime, no problem. And there's a free trial as well. Anyway, I'm going to move on because I hate asking for money. So let's start with Copilot. So the Visual Creator Agent will no longer be pre-installed. So Microsoft will no longer pre-install the Visual Creator Agent. That's this one here that's been around for a little while. You can add it back manually if you want to, but I've got a caveat in a minute for that. Your previous interactions will still be available under your conversations. You can see here. You can still see that. Now, they say you should use the create experience instead, and actually, it's pretty good. I think I see where they're coming from. Let's have a look at this. So we come into here. So I've clicked create now. Create an image. We've got a design poster. Creating a video form, and it might be. You remember previously in Copilot you had no control over the size of an image, whereas now look at this. You can choose choose your size, and if you're creating a banner, let's say I don't know, you're creating a banner for your posts, your announcements in Microsoft Teams. So you want a particular size, and you got set size. And actually, it's pretty good. And actually, underneath this more button here, top right hand side, you can create like a little mini brand center. Definitely worth you checking out if this is your thing. Due mid-July this year, there was a follow-up announcement from Microsoft to say that in Copilot Chat, and it looks like it's the free version we're talking about here. I think it's the free version, and they said that not only is a Visual Creator not going to be automatically installed and available, it's also going to become unavailable completely and get totally deleted. And I read the two side by side, and it looks like one's talking about the free version of Copilot work, and one's M365 Copilot. And it reads like the M365 Copilot one is going to be not installed by default, but you can still add it. And actually, the free version is not going to be available at all. I'm not clear though. I've got to be honest. I've read them, and I think what I've said is right based on the information in there. I'm not super sure that it makes sense for them to have it available here but not here. But let's see, folks. It's definitely going to be not available by default, and I think you'll be able to install it in the paid version of Microsoft Copilot. That's how it reads. But anyway, that create experience, I've got to be honest, folks, it's really good. So I don't think you'll actually care. Researcher is being added to the M365 Copilot prompt box. So Researcher is their tool that will go off, do research for you, and then give you options. And if you've got to research something proper, this is actually a really good tool. It's a very focused, let's say, agent for doing research. and you can access it. You can access it here. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, but it's going to be added to that. To the prompt box as well. It makes it a little bit easier to get to. Folks, mid-July, definitely worth checking out the researcher. Since doing this slide, I've seen another update that said it's going to be added to notebooks. So you can see there that you Copilot notebooks, and you're going to embed researcher into there as well. So they're really pushing researcher down. It's almost getting borderline intrusive the way they're just constantly changing the interfaces and what they're trying to push. But it will just bring it up to the surface, and it's worth you having a look. Mid-July for that one, folks. Okay, so next up, we've got the M365 Prompts app being retired. Currently appears in the Copilot app and in Teams. You can see it is, you see it's here. And if I just drag this up a little bit, you see it's down there as well. So it backs onto the prompt gallery, doesn't it? So by the middle of July, no access, and continue using the prompt gallery. You need to go a different way. So you can see on the screen here. So I'm in Copilot, and I'll have to click on See More. And then at the bottom, you then got access to the prompt gallery down there, which it just feels clunky. I use it probably every day, and it's really now clunky to get that out. But also, it's going to surface on in here. So inside the apps, so we've got the plus sign and we've got view prompts there. So first one was in the prompt box, and then inside the apps it'll be there as well. And if you want to, you can just go straight to the browser. You use that URL and it'll take it. Now initially, I didn't get it, and I just found it very odd because you get used to using something. People have been using it for a long time now. But actually, when you open prompts, your prompts are there, but they're not where you want to use them, are they? Whereas you've seen those examples there. So if I enter prompts via the prompt box, anything I select will appear straight in that prompt box. If I'm in an app and I go to the prompt gallery using the little plus sign, and then I click on prompts and I select one, and then it's in the right place, I'm going to use it. So maybe it does make sense, because it means that so it's a bit harder to get to it, but when you select the prompt, it will be in the right place. That does kind of make sense, I guess, doesn't it? More sense. Folks, so that should be done and dusted by the middle of July. So the middle of July, you'll have no access to the prompts app. You'll have to go use those other routes. Okay, so create a meeting from an email thread in Copilot on Outlook Mobile. So we're going to schedule a meeting. So we've got this conversation going on. Look at this first slide here, this first thing here. We've got a conversation going on. At the bottom, we're going to click on those three dots and say we want to schedule with Copilot. And then we start getting it set up on the right-hand side. But it automatically creates that meeting. It'll pre-fill in the title, the agenda, and attaching the email thread. So it's easy, so you know what the history of it is. And then people in the email are also invited as well. Let's have a close look at this. So the first step there that we've already seen. So we've got a conversation. Click on the three dots at the bottom. Schedule with Copilot. And you can see in the middle one there is creating an event. And then it's going to suggest this description here. And it's going to suggest all that. And it's created the agenda. And it's sorted it all out. Just unraveled all the mess from the email. And then you can say you want to keep it. And then what do you get? Look at this on the right hand side. We've got our invite. And it's got all those details. And I think that looks great. Early July to late August for that one. Okay, so we're able to in Copilot in PowerPoint, we'll soon be able to reference Excel. This is really popular when I shared this with colleagues. So we've done the / and now we can create from Excel. So quite a few people who know really like this. Now, just today, someone was talking about when you got a file doing the / things don't always appear, and that's true. Now, if you wanted to do it this way and you got a file that you've used ages ago and it doesn't appear in this list, just go into SharePoint or OneDrive, open it and close it online, and then it'll appear here. Or even easier, if it doesn't appear here, you could start typing its name, or if you prefer, just open it up in the browser, copy the URL, and then do that / and then paste it in here, and it'll resolve and it'll show that name. So that project data there, for example, If that's, I put the long string in for where it lives, and then straight away it'll just turn back to it'll turn to project data, and it just works really nicely. Anyway, been able to create PowerPoint presentations, and that should be here now. So I must admit I haven't checked before presenting today. June finished 3 days ago, so go check that out, and it should be available any day now. Okay, let's have some quick ones. Scheduled prompts are coming to M365 Copilot. These arrived early, so go and have a look at this. You got a prompt, and then look for the option to schedule it. I told you about this previously. You go and look at it on the site if you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's arrived early. The researcher has been added to the Copilot notebooks. I think I mentioned that earlier. So as well as the prompt box, it's going to be added to your notebooks. That kind of makes sense, right? If it's in a notebook, it's a place where your research is happening, and it's a bit more permanent. That makes kind of sense. Late June to late July. Image generation in Copilot chat within the apps. So in the chat inside the apps, late June to early July, and another late one. Ground your M365 Copilot prompts in SharePoint and OneDrive. This has been dragging on for a little while, hasn't it? People want just a bit more control over like what SharePoint site or what folders you want to send it to. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be just a little bit better. Late July to early August. Okay, so you might know that this icon here, this telescope, means that these are a little bit further out. They're from the 365 roadmap, and quite often the details are a bit sketchy, and the dates are definitely sketchy. If you don't know what that means, it means they're unreliable. Anyway, one click to create a briefing page based on the content of the Copilot notebook. Now, I've not seen the value of a Copilot notebook until now. It just seems like another place that Microsoft give you to do stuff. But if you've got your notebook, you got all your stuff on there that you've been doing, you research everything else, and then you can create a briefing page out of that. That looks quite good, actually. And how about you've done all your research on a certain topic, and it's all on your Copilot notebook, and then you can create an FAQ page based on all that content, all that research you did. Rather than you piecing it all together, it'll just do that for you. Those two updates there that are due in July, I think, for me, makes it worth giving Copilot notebook a second look. Content sources in a Copilot chat just gives you a little bit more control. Sketchy details on that. I'll be talking more about this next month. And that takes us on to OneDrive. Just some quick updates this month, no main ones. OneDrive will soon get an export to PDF feature. Imagine you go in, you've got a Word document. Instead of you have to open the document, file, save as a PDF or whatever you use or whatever tool, click on the file's three little dots, click export as PDF, and it appears in that same location. Looks great. Push back a little bit, mid-July to mid-August. Use the new table of contents pane to navigate PDFs in SharePoint and OneDrive. So if a document's already got a table of contents, then you can have one sitting at the side, so you can scroll up and down. Your table of contents will stay there, and then you can navigate really easily. Push back a bit, mid-July to early August. Apply watermarks to PDFs in SharePoint and OneDrive. This sparked some real interest when I was presenting this in a workplace last month. Really interesting for some people, being able to apply the image or the words. Worth you checking out. Push back again, late June, so you might have it already, to mid-July. Copilot audio overviews for Word in PDF files in Microsoft OneDrive. So push back a bit, but you should have that anytime now. The audio overviews are brilliant. It might be, let's say you've got a document, and you need to know, you don't know what it's about, but actually you need to go and make some lunch. You could go in, select this feature inside OneDrive, and then either one person or two people will kind of discuss it and read it out to you, not word for word, but much more intelligently than that. And it might be that, depending on how your mind works, two people discussing it and explaining it might be really good. Anyway, good for multitasking as well. You may well have that. A lot of people do start coming out in May, but if you haven't, you should have it by mid-July. Okay, let's go on to Outlook. Let's see what we've got. This looks quite good actually, and I'm surprised that Microsoft are still doing work on classic Outlook. So we've got the Teams meeting add-in installed. and we're creating a Teams meeting. But look what's appeared on the right hand side. The ability to set up your Teams meeting, that thing on the right hand side. But this is the meeting options, and it's got suggestions here. So it can be a bit out of sight, out of mind, can't it? Especially going for Outlook, your meeting options are a bit out of just out of view, and easy to forget. But I think this will just help you create better meetings. It's going to suggest things that you turn on or things that you change. I think that's really cool. Due mid to late July, and those people who forget to do that, especially the recording and transcribing automatically, that's super useful, depending on the sort of meeting that you have. But check it out. Go and have a look at that from late July. I think that's quite good. Okay, so Copilot in Outlook Mobile to highlight emails that need your attention. Okay, so you can get settings, Copilot, prioritize, priority view, and you can turn this on. So now we're going to click on this icon here, number 1, and then I can swipe between high priority and need replies. I think that need replies will be good. I'm rubbish at email. I'm very much a Teams first person, and having this remind me that something needs a reply, what I would genuinely find useful. Now that's 2 options. I'm not sure what's in the other 2. If you have a look at here, there's another 2 like placeholders for that carousel. I'll have a look what those are. Anyway, so you can see need replies, so I can move between them. And I think that's going to be super useful. Late June to late December, because obviously the apps probably take longer to roll out, especially in the workplace. Look out for that. Genuinely useful. Okay, some quick ones. Text prediction will be turned off by default in Outlook 1st of July. So if that suddenly stopped working for you in Outlook, you can just go and turn it back on if you want to. New Outlook is getting better week by week. Offline support for the calendar, create, edit, and delete event support. You know what? When I read updates like this, it kind of reminds you why people used to hate New Outlook. I can't believe until it gets pointed out by the fact that it's coming in that you can't do this stuff. I don't know. They're getting there, I guess. Mid-June to mid-July. Creating a meeting from an email thread in Copilot in Outlook Mobile. So I told you about that. It's been pushed back a little bit, so late August for that. Users can set customer account descriptions in New Outlook. It might be that you've got more than one account in Outlook, and you can just give it a proper name so it makes sense to you. Should be here by late July if you haven't already got it, because lots of people have it already. Pause a breath and some water. Let's go on to SharePoint. Okay, so SharePoint gets header and footer enhancements. The command bar will be hidden in view mode. Look at that, just looks nice and clean. Editors get new options for customizing the header, footer, and navigation links. And this page looks gorgeous, doesn't it? I don't know about you though. Most of the organisations that I have something to do with, they've got really strict rules and branding around SharePoint. I don't know how many people will use this. Be interested if this is right up your street and this is going to solve a problem for you. Why don't you comment in the comments of the video? I would be genuinely interested to know whether this matters to you and what you think about it. In fact, any of the updates, if you like them, you hate them, just comment in the chat. June mid to late August. Okay, this looks quite nice. Someone just today, when I shared this in an organisation there's an organisation with the Inform team that we do some evergreen updates for, and I shared this in a Teams channel today. Someone said they've already seen it and they like it. Okay, so the estimated read time for news posts. So this appears in the banner web part. So this is for the page editor to turn on, and it's actually part of the banner web part. So you need to go in there and turn it on. You see on the right hand side there, I've gone into the banner web part, and I'm just going to say yes, turn that on. Mid to late June. So actually, it's I wrote this slide in June, so that should be out now for you. Okay, some bite-sized ones for SharePoint. That's a new SharePoint web part for FAQs, which can create just super fast way of creating FAQs. Push back a bit mid-July. Grounding your M365 prompts in SharePoint and OneDrive. I'll put that in here as well just to remind you. I know it appeared earlier in in OneDrive, pushed back to mid-June, early July. I think that's going to be epic. I think the ability to focus your Copilot prompts will be super useful. One to watch, support for click-through rate metrics on page analytics. Be interested to see how this looks. I wouldn't be surprised. So the page analytics got a lot better. I told you about that last month. There's a lot more stuff, goes way further back, but it was only for people with a couple of Viva licenses, wasn't it? So I bet this will be locked up in that. When that comes out, I bet it'll be part of that, like a premium option. Okay, Microsoft Teams. I've got some great ones for you. Usage and previous improvements for live captions and transcripts in meetings. Okay, so we've got our captions down here, and they'll be scrollable. Copying them will be disabled by default. That makes sense for most organizations, I think. With that said, I can't get on with that view at all. I've previously told you about the option to pop that out into a separate window. I don't know, it just doesn't fit down there for me. I find it really difficult to get on with it. Pop it out to a new window, and it's only been out in a very short time. I had to do some epic length training on Copilot that Microsoft had delivered for something that I was involved in. Really long sessions, and I use the captions. The captions are great for focusing on what's been said to you, especially on a long meeting. Pop it out into a new window, and it's so much easier to absorb and stay engaged. You can move it where you want, but I think it's quite right that you can't just copy it. Live transcripts. So you turn the transcript on so you get it, and then it pops open for you. And as someone who does a lot of presenting, I want the transcript on, but I don't want to then read it while I'm presenting, right? So quite rightly, it's going to no longer open automatically for the user who starts the recording, who's probably the presenter, who doesn't want to read that because now they can't see what the chat is, they can't see who's joining the meeting because this pointless thing has opened up. Little tiny change. You see it annoys me. You can hear my voice, can't you? I think that's a great change. Now, if you attempt to open the live transcript panel, you're going to get a little banner telling you maybe you're trying to open the captions instead, because it actually is better, and it's probably more appropriate. So look out for that. Mid to late July. Okay, one of the stars of the show, the ability to save chats and channel messages for later. So we've got a message here, and actually, do you know what? I've come in, I'm super rushed, I don't have time to read this, but I want to absorb it properly later, and I don't want to forget about it. So I'm going to click on the three little dots, say save this message, super easy. And then in the case of chat, right, I'm going to go to the top of my chats, click on saved, and there it is. And then you can engage with the whole thread. How cool is that? Little thing on here. If this was in a thread that I was saving, then I'm going over to my channels here, and then I'll be able to see this in here as well. You can see this is the combined experience. I don't like the combined experience. I much prefer them separate. But anyway, whatever. The ability to save your messages, chats and channel messages, I just think is epic. I think it's one of the stars of the show. Due late August to early September. Okay, so how about this attachment feature for external one-to-one group chats? So a bit clunky sharing a document with externals when you're chatting, and you get this new option here to attach a file. It's off by default, must be enabled by your admin. I see a lot of organizations not getting on with having this on by default. So a lot of places don't allow that that sharing. Anyway, not a lot of places, but I know very well there's some places that don't. Two people that I work with don't allow it. It's done by exception rather than just being open. But anyway, off by default, must be turned on by your admin. If one's shared with you, you can see it's clearly called out as external. It's going to have that label on it there. So if that's of interest to you, if you're allowed to share externally, and actually this would help you, just be aware this is coming. Maybe ask your IT to turn it on. Due mid to late July. This might be the star of the show. The other one was good. Maybe this is better. Have you ever been on a Teams meeting or a presentation with lots of colleagues, and one of the speakers goes over time and they won't shut up. And everyone knows we're running out of time, but they just go on and on and on. And someone's got to, they're trying to politely cut in. Wow, check this out. You can set a timer of up to 100 minutes. It's visible to all participants. That you can start it, pause it, stop it, reset it. Maybe reset it as for each of your speakers. Visual and audio alerts. I love this bit. Even when the person runs out of time, it will then start going negative. I bet it will turn red, and it will show how far they've run over by on their slot. And despite the audio and video and visual alerts, let's have a closer look at this. Look at this. It just looks. I just can't wait. It lives in this more menu here. You see it on there, folks. Early to late July. I think that's the winner, isn't it? I think that's going to be. And if you disagree with me, if there's a better one, put that in the. Just respond and let us know what you think. But I think that might be the winner of the month. Or maybe it's this one. I think there's 3 heavyweight Teams updates, aren't there? How about threaded conversations in channels? Maybe we're having a talk about something in a thread, and then someone talks about that feature on behaves differently on a Mac. And it's like, I want to ask you about that, but I don't want to then take up the main thread. I can start a little reply on the side, a new thread on the side, and then we can start talking about that. Like you can in lots of chat rooms, right? You can then just come off. Like maybe if you look at I don't know, the comments on the BBC website on a news article, someone will comment. Some people will respond to the main article, and then people reply to each other, almost like nested. So. This looks really useful, but I don't know whether it'll be for everybody. It's hard enough to keep track as it is, isn't it? You can see here that I've got my followed threads. You can see on the right hand side, I can just dive straight back into them. Quite rightly, the team owners can turn this on or off at the channel level. So that's going to be useful. I can't work out how this is going to pan out, if I'm honest. I don't know whether it's going to simplify the conversations because you're not tripping over each other, or they're just going to become this sprawling mess where one thread's got all these topics in, and actually they would have been better off being separate conversations. Straight up, I don't know. Be interested to know what you think. Due mid to late June. So that should be. I think that's been pushed back actually. That's of real interest to you. Go and check out the site. I'm going to see what the latest date is on that. I've got a sneaky feeling that that's changed since I did this slide. Okay. This is one to make you aware of, but you sort of can't action this yourself. How about custom dictionaries for Microsoft Teams meeting transcripts? Maybe you work in an organisation that's got loads of abbreviations, loads of acronyms, and your organisation just love that. And not unreasonably, transcripts and Copilot haven't got a chance of knowing what you're talking about. And it makes your transcripts more accurate, and it be used by Copilot as well. Do a much better job. Be interesting to know. So I know an organisation that loves acronyms, and a lot of them are the same, but they change by context. In the context, will Copilot know which one to choose because of the context of the conversation? I don't know. But anyway, there's a screenshot there for the admins, where to go and turn that on. It'd be great if organisations embraced this and just took a little bit of time. Now, I know that the admin folk behind the scenes are always crazy busy trying to keep up with what's new, making sure that your environment is safe and secure, but I think this might be worth having a look at. Got to be done by an admin, and that should be available by mid-July. Interactive agents, you can be added to Teams meetings and calls. You can see here that we've brought this one. I haven't. Someone at Microsoft has, and kindly shared the screenshot. They brought this one in called the Contoso thingy that looks like it does something with tasks. They put this into their meetings and their one-to-one calls, and now you can interact with that agent in the context of the call that you're having. So maybe you do have you have an agent that you use for task management, and you're talking about the tasks in here, and you can get it to look straight into the meeting that you are in. Work privately with the agent or share with a group. I'm not sure if there's some privacy issues if you've got this special agent that's doing something to do with the call and you don't tell people, but there's a choice. Whatever. Due mid to late June, so check that out if that's of interest to you. This should be available now. The ability to Add a name pronunciation to your profile card in Outlook and Teams. I would love every organisation to turn this on because it's off by default. Because when I look at a colleague's name, I don't always say, it's not always one pronunciation that I'm familiar with, and it'd be great if they could just do a little recording. I can just listen to it and I know how to say the person's name. That'd be great if your organisation turned that on. Meeting audio overview will create a summary of multiple Teams meetings. So let's say that you've come back off leave and you've got 6 meetings to catch up with, but you also need to do the packed lunch for your kids or for whatever. Anyway, you can go into Teams, go into Meet. This sort of is hidden in the Meet app. Go into Meet and then select your meetings, and then it will play an audio summary of all of them, and you get caught up all in one go. Looks epic. Push back though to August to September. I'm not surprised actually. I can imagine that is a super complicated piece of functionality to not just create, but to test. And you can imagine just making sure that it works properly. And how's it going to present all 5 or 6 of them in one go, and not be confusing for you? I can imagine there's loads of work for them to do behind the scenes for that. Compact notification size. So your notifications in Teams, and you can now move them around on the screen. You know that. But how about make them a little bit smaller and less intrusive? Looks good. Apparently due from July. I'm not having that. I bet I'll be telling you about that next month. And back after a few months on hold, Microsoft Teams meetings get pop-out chat, pop-out to a Copilot and notes panes. I particularly like the ability to pop out the chat, so keep an eye on that. And then maybe, because remember in Skype when you were running a meeting on Skype, you could see the people and the chat, and you could have that on the right hand side. The screen would be split. I'm showing my age now, aren't I? But I've not used it for years. But you have these two, and you could see both the people and the chat. Whereas now it's people or chat, isn't it? So I love this. I'm going to pop out my chat and then keep an eye on my people, so I can welcome people into my sessions, but keep an eye on what other people are saying as well. Looks epic, folks. Late June to early July. The Files tab in Teams channels getting renamed. So ages ago, I told you about in your group chats, the Files tab was getting renamed Shared, and it is genuinely more useful. That is coming to Teams channels, and it will be super useful. A bit jarring if you don't know it's coming, if I'm honest. But late August to mid-September. Pop out your core team apps, now due mid-September to early October. Now, if you use the new version of a calendar, so in Teams you use the old or the new calendar. If you use the new calendar, you can try this now. So right-click on the calendar icon over in the app bar, and you can pop that into a new window. Have that over here. Just beautiful. Works so nice. You're going to be able to do this with all the other main parts, like let's say like Teams and your activity and all the other parts of Teams. So if you've got multiple monitors or you've got a large monitor, you can pull these out and maybe just look at your Teams while you go on action stuff. You don't have to keep going back. Can't wait. But push back to September and October. Network strength indicator. Those meetings where you're sitting there and the presenter's starting to glitch, and you don't catch every word, and you're sitting there and you think, is it me or is it them? And then eventually someone else pipes up and they say, is it just me? And you realise that it's not, it's actually the presenter's a problem. How about a network strength indicator on everyone's feed so you can see who the problem is? Looks great, but that's been pushed back to September as well. Now, the speaker coach. So now I've used this I'm more familiar with this in PowerPoint. It's funny how the speaker coach is the one that I just tripped over and I couldn't actually get my words out. So PowerPoint. Anyway, turns out no one cares, so they're going to retire it, and that's going from Teams. It'll still be in PowerPoint. I'm in trouble with PowerPoint for some reason. Anyway, turns out no one cares. By August, it'll be gone from Teams. A couple of things from around 365. Now, this is really interesting. So, Paul Thurrott on Windows Weekly. I love Windows Weekly podcast. If you haven't watched it, it's these 3 guys who they must have 150 years experience of computing between them, and they're proper wise folk. And one of the things that they were talking about on the last episode was, or the other one before that maybe, was some big report came out that Microsoft's marketing around the free version of Copilot Chat isn't accurate, because it talks about the ability to interact with documents or something like that. And apparently Microsoft said, yeah, we'll fix it. Anyway, the same week I see this update, and it's the update for the free version of the license to start appearing inside the apps. I don't know for certain those two things are connected, but it's just that coincidence that they have a problem that sounds like this, and then all of a sudden this starts happening. Anyway, so Copilot Chat will be available a side-by-side experience inside apps for users without a Copilot license. Applies to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and OneNote. Your organization must have Pin Copilot Chat in M365 apps turned on in the admin center. If you're allowed to use the free version of Copilot in your organization, it probably is. But I tell you what, I can't answer. And when I shared this on social media, and I wish I can't remember the person's name, and if I could, I would call them out, because it was a great comment about how ambiguous this announcement is. So yes, it's there. So look at this. I've got the Copilot icon there. But can it interact with the document that I'm looking at, or is it literally just the web-based chat that just happens to be here? Hopefully that makes sense. Is it still completely grounded in the on the internet, on the web, or can it interact or work on or do something with this thing that I'm looking at? I don't know, because it's not a detailed message. Anyway, this might be one of those you have to just wait and see. From late June, depending on the app, it will come out. But look out for that. If you've only got the free version of Copilot in your organization, look out for that. And if you know the answer, I've said this about 4 times tonight. Maybe I'm just feeling super engaged or something. If you know the answer in the comments in the video, please share, because I straight up don't know, and I wish I did, but I just don't. Couple of quickies. Microsoft Edge, the primary work profile will open external links by default. So it might be that. So previously, let me just remember this. Previously, when you follow an external link, the last profile in Edge that you used is the profile that would open an external link. Now, how many times have you tried to open something and you don't have access to it, and you look at it and you're in the wrong profile in Edge? Just drives me nuts. In fact, it drives me so nuts. For one client, I've got a completely separate laptop, even though I don't need to, because this thing just drives me mad. The whole thing about different profiles for some work. Anyway, how about the profile that you've logged into that computer, the one that's related to the one you've logged into your computer with, and it's the one, I can't remember the term they use, but it's the one it's the main one for your computer and your profile in the browser. That will be default, the one that always opens it. And I've got to be honest, I think that makes sense. Anyway. Late June to late July. And if that horrifies you, I bet you that'll be an option. When it says by default, that suggests to me that there's an option. Microsoft Stream and Microsoft Clipchamp, the brand unification continues. Should be done by late June. I don't see what's wrong with the word streaming, video. I'm not sure about Clipchamp, but they're being unified. Look out for that, and Clipchamp's going to be more prominent. That should be done. That should have been done by the end of June. So look out for that. In case you're wondering what else is going on, that's what's going on. And your Microsoft Teams file open preferences will soon extend to other apps. So you know that you can go into Teams, go into your settings, and go into your files and something. And in there, you can say how you want files to open inside Teams, in the browser, or in the app, desktop app. Now, other applications are going to start looking at that setting. So maybe I click on a link inside a Word document or inside PowerPoint, and it will observe how you'd like stuff to open, and it will open that way. So if you haven't set those preferences yet, go into Teams, set your preferences, because other apps are going to start using it. And that should be done already. Microsoft Lists, the mobile app for iOS and Android, are being retired. Microsoft are doing a lot of taking away lately, aren't they? Microsoft lists. Yeah, so the mobile app, iOS and Android have been retired. September to November. The reason I'm just speaking a bit slowly, I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've ever used it. I love lists. I love list forms. Big fan of both of those. I don't think I've ever used it in the app. Maybe that's why I'm getting rid of it, because no one does. I don't know. Folks, this brings us to the end of our time together. Make sure you follow on the socials. You get an update most days. Instead of trying to take it all in one go like this, you'll get one update most days. Nice and easy to follow. Folks, thank you for watching. If that was helpful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you next month.